ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are at episode 45. I was going to stop saying the numbers, but who cares? So what we have for you tonight is the World Matchplay preview. The World Matchplay is upon us. It is a massive tournament. It is absolutely gigantic. One of the biggest ones of the year, probably World Championship slightly bigger. This one is massive. Second biggest, Premier League is huge. We all love it, but this is the 16 best players in the world versus the top 16 form players in the world, really, in my eyes. So 32 players with probably, especially this year, 24 that could potentially create an argument for winning it. Before we get into that, another sad day. We lost another legend, John Gwynn. Sadly passed away, another commentating guru. His voice just synonymous with darts. We all love it. So one of the voices I started listening to when I first got into darts was his rod stud, Nigel Pearson. So some of those guys, Sid Waddell, very little I heard of him, but when I was just starting out was when he was just about finished. But I did hear a little bit. So some of those guys, absolute legends. The fans, they fall in love with the voices as much as commentators will sit there and tell you that they don't do anything. They just describe darts and they're not really involved. They don't do the work. The players do the work. They absolutely, in my opinion, bring it to us and create that excitement. Otherwise, it would all just be indoor tournaments, closed tournaments like the Players' Championship events where there's a streaming board but there's no one watching. Yes, there would be some fanfare, but the commentators really bring it to life. More people are watching from home than in venue, so never sort of push down their influence because it is massive, and I absolutely love cranking it up. The missus hates it, but I cranked it right up and get right involved in the moment. So well done to all commentators, really, not just John. So a quick top three of some of his brilliant moments. Can't dedicate too long because it is a preview show, so we'll quickly run through my top three moments from John Gwynn. And number three is the Simon Whitlock 9, Simon's first 9 data over there and televised on the PDC. And it was just brilliant. Finals night of the Premier League, and he just set it up magnificently. And this moment, number two, it holds a lot of positions in any top three I ever do because it is, in my opinion, one of the greatest moments of darts you'll ever see, hear, watch, and be spoken about. Michael Van Gerwen, 17 perfect darts in a 2013 semi-final against James Wade. 17 perfect darts is outrageous. A lot of us, when we get three, being a 180 or a 177 or 174, 171, one of those, we go nuts and we're super excited. So for 17 in a row, and he absolutely built it up to perfection, did Gwynny, and just went off his head and made you feel like you were in the crowd right there watching it all. But the favourite of mine is the 1-3-2 finish from Michael Van Gerwen against Phil Taylor in the Premier League in 2013. An amazing finish and absolutely captured brilliantly by John. And once again, you felt like you were there and you just wanted to jump up and down with excitement because even though you're not even there, you're not even close. I was on the other side of the world watching, but you felt like you were there and you wanted to jump up and down with excitement because he, not only being Van Gerwen in such an amazing fashion finishing that match, but John just bringing that excitement and also passing that on to us. Honourable mention, another Michael Van Gerwen moment, the 9 data he hit against Steve Beaton at the match play with Andrew Flintoff, of all people, commentating. Never thought I'd have Freddie Flintoff in any countdown of mine, being that he's a POM cricketer and he hasn't really got much to do with darts, and now he's on Ninja Warrior. Anyway, but yeah, so rest in peace, John, and hopefully you are remembered by everyone for just the amazing, passionate dude that you were. All right, so let's move on to the 4 Players' Championships. That's right, 4 Players' Championship events. What a lot of darts that is. That's 128 players across 4 days. 128 each day playing off to a winner each day. That's a ridiculous amount of darts. I couldn't even tell you how many matches that is in total. If I want to do some quick maths, I probably should be good at that because it's darts. But I'm not going to. We're not going to. We'll go through quickly the runners-up and the winners, and then a little bit about what it means, and we'll go through our Aussie blokes as well. So Players' Championship 18, Dirk van Dijvenbode kept on his winning ways, so he's starting to look pretty good. And 8-0 against Gabriel Clemens. 8-0 in the final, so that was fantastic by Dirk. Some pretty decent darts by him. I don't think he played any others. He won that one and then packed his bags and went home back to the Netherlands before the match play. Players' Championship 19, another Dutchman won that one in Danny Noppert. 8 over Andrew Gilding, 6. Players' Championship 20 was Adrian Lewis, 8 versus Boris Koltsloff, 4 in the final. And I think Adrian Lewis went home after that as well. And Players' Championship 21, Brendan Dolan, 8, Johnny Clayton, 5. So a bit of form for Johnny Clayton and Brendan Dolan as well. The Players' Championship events never cease to amaze me. That's 4 events over 4 days. The same 128 players, a little bit of chop and change here and there. Some of them didn't turn up, which means some of them get called up. But mostly the same players, probably about 110 of the same players. Just one day to another, and you've got 8 different finalists across 4 events. So sensational to watch and brilliant to just see more players coming through and getting their shit into gear before the biggest tournament of the year. So Gordon Mathers, he just had the 1 win across 4 events, so not great by his standard. He had a 6-4 win against Keegan Brown and lost to Gabriel Clemens in the 6-0 loss to Gabriel Clemens at Players' Championship 18. 114 average Gabriel Clemens had against him, so a bit stiff there to run into that sort of average. That was, I think, the highest for Players' Championship 18. So bit of work to do for Gordon, but hopefully he gets there, and if not, he goes back to Q School and gets his card straight back, because I think this is his second year, meaning he needs to be in the top 64. He's a little way off, but we'll worry about that as we get a bit closer, because top 64 should get himself into the Players' Championships. Hopefully he can qualify for that, meaning he can get a bit more cash from that event if he makes it a little bit further and further secure his spot. The Wizard Simon Whitlock, he made the 3rd round at Players' Championship 18. He did have match darts in a cracker 6-5 against James Wade in that one, and didn't get the job done. At Players' Championship 19, he made the 2nd round. Players' Championship 20, a couple of hundred averages on his way to the 3rd round. And Players' Championship 21, he needed to make the semi-final to book his spot, but he got done in the 2nd round in a loss to Nathan Rafferty with another 100 average. So, unfortunately, he didn't quite get the job done in regards to qualifying, but is what it is. He'll rue those missed opportunities against James Wade on that first day, because he makes a semi-final or a little bit even further there, and he's probably looking pretty bloody good, but couldn't quite get it done. Damon Hedder, he had darts to beat Andrew Gilding in the 3rd round, lost 6-5 at Players' Championship 18. 3rd round again the next day with a 6-2 loss to Matt Campbell, 103 average in that one for Damo. Topped in Players' Championship 20, made the top 16, and Players' Championship 21 was his big run. He made the semis with some brilliant darts. He had a 6-0 smashing of Christoph Kachuk with 110 average, maybe, roughly. I can't remember exactly, but nothing over 16 darts is what I've written down here, so that's fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. So it was important, those 4 events, for Adrian Lewis, Andrew Gilding, Brendan Dolan and Rowby John. All coming into it were in their spots for the World Match Play, but there was challenges coming in the likes of Simon Whitlock. Ricky Evans had a little bit of a run there and almost got himself in. A few others just outside, but they did well and booked their spots. So Rowby John had a couple of good games. Andrew Gilding made a final. Dolan won one, and Adrian Lewis won one. So they all booked their spots for, drum roll, and that's a brilliant segue by me, to the World Match Play. As we said before, it's a prestigious tournament. The World Championships is the biggest one. We know that. The big difference here is that, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone out there, but I'm 99% sure this has been played at the Winter Gardens in Blackpool since day one. So the World Championships has moved around a little bit. It's been at Ali Pali, it's been at the Circus Tavern. I think it's been at Lakeside through the PDC as well. Meaning it just doesn't, that stage, as much as it's fantastic, Blackpool has been there for the 27 years. I think this is the 27th time this tournament is being held. Yes, 28th year for the World Match Play. So it's iconic, that stage and that venue. It just doesn't get too much better than that on there. Right, so the qualification criteria for the World Match Play. So there's 2 order of merits that they all come from. The standard order of merit, which is your 2-year rolling prize money from ranking events rankings. So your money is basically your points. And the top 16 of that are your seeded players. And out of that, they draw a player from the Pro Tour Order of Merit. The Pro Tour Order of Merit is 12-month rolling from your Euro Tour and your Players' Championship events. So what we'll quickly do is I'll run through, but before we do that, Simon Whitlock. So Simon Whitlock missed out by $4,250. That's how far out he was from that 16th spot, which is held by Rowby John. That's on the Pro Tour Order of Merit. So not far off. And as I said, if he had have beaten James Wade, I think Wadey had a pretty good run from a pretty good side of the draw from there. I don't think Wadey made it too much further than that round. But that side of the draw was very open, so Simon could have gotten the win there, put himself in even more form if that hadn't have done the job and gotten himself over the lines. But just missed out, which is a real shame because Simon Whitlock this year is a big stage player. We know that. We saw it at the World Cup. It would have been fantastic to have both Damon and Simon there. Right, so what we'll do right now, we'll do it. We'll quickly go through. So these are your seeded players. I've got a list here, so if I'm not looking right at the camera, that's my apologies. I just couldn't be bothered bringing this image up. It doesn't look very good, this image. So you seeded top 16 from the standard order of merit. Peter Wright, Gerwin Price, Michael Smith, who's in third now, Michael Van Gerwen for James Wade, Gary Anderson, Jose De Souza, Johnny Clayton, Dimitri Vandenberg, Rob Cross, Danny Noppert, Luke Humphreys, Joe Cullen, Dirk Van Duivenbode, Dave Chisnell, and Christoph Ratajski rounds out that list. Over to the Pro Tour Order of Merit. So this is the next the top 16 who aren't on that other list. This is there. So Damon Hedder comes in at number 1 on that list. Nathan Aspinall, Ryan Searle, Martin Schindler, Brendan Dolan, Daryl Gurney, Cullen Ridds, Gabriel Clemens, Adrian Lewis. So he's well and truly in there now. Same with Andrew Gilding, well and truly in there. Stephen Bunting, Kim Hybrex, Martin Lukeman, Chris Dobie, Matters Rasma, and Rowby John sneaks in there. So they are your top 16 from both order of merits that have made it through. So as I said, so you got the top 16 standard order, top 16 Pro Tour. Their names get drawn out. So the seeded players go in their usual spots. So one is there, 16 will be the next game down. The number 1 will eventually play and all that sort of thing. So that hopefully you get the top 4. You get 1 versus 4 in the semi, 2 versus 3 in the semi, 1 and 2. That's always the plan for seeded people. If you have watched much sport at all ever, you'll understand that system pretty well. The format, so simple format, there's not much to it. The first round is first to 10, second round first to 11, then quarterfinals 16, semi-finals 17, finals 18. They do play sudden death at this. You must win by 2 clear legs. In the first round where it's first to 10, a sudden death leg comes into it at 12-12. I do not think they throw for the bull. I am not 100% sure. But I wouldn't say they would throw for the bull then and there. I think they would go with whoever won the bull in the backstage. So at 12-12 in round 1, they go to a sudden death. At 13 all, they do it in round 2. Quarterfinals, it's 18 all. Semi-finals, it's 19 all. Final, it's 20 all. So just 2 legs after the normal because it's like a kind of like a 5-leg shootout. If someone gets 2 up from there, then they won. If not, then it's a sudden death leg. Right. Some of the history of this event. In 27 events, or 27 years of the match play being won, there has only been 11 different winners, which a lot of the tournaments you see quite a bit because Michael Van Gerwen and Phil Taylor had absolute dominance. Only 3 players have won it more than once. We all know that Phil Taylor is one of them. You then have Michael Van Gerwen and Rod Harrington. That's a crazy stat that it's only that many people. In the world of darts, you think Michael Van Gerwen had won more than 2. Gary Anderson hasn't won it twice. Peter Wright hasn't won it twice. So, sensational stats and numbers right there for you. Right, so the history of the World Match Play, a bit more than what I just told you. In my opinion, it should be called the Phil Taylor Tournament. The stats that you go through on this, you have a look at the history, you have a look at past winners, performances, and all that sort of thing. There's only one man whose name should be on your mind. Let me just take this hat off. It's getting a bit... Watch out, film your hair. Yeah, he has won it 16 times. He leads a lot of the stats, and he doesn't just lead them, he dominates them. So, yeah, 16 times he's won that, which is the same amount of times he won the World Championship. The next best winner is 2, which is Rod Harrington and Michael Van Gerwen. He had the first 9 data at the match play back in 2002, so setting the standard there. He won 38 matches in a row from 2008 to 2015. That's a streak. That is an absolute streak, and I think that 2007 loss, so he'd won it probably 4 or 5 times before that. Let's see if I can quickly bring that up for you and get that. So 2005 and 2007. So he won it from the year 2000 to 2014. He didn't win it twice. So that number of wins would go even further through the roof if he had have won those 2. So either side of that is what I'm getting at, is he had a massive, massive run. And it took absolute brilliance from the likes of Colin Lloyd and James Wade to beat him. So he holds the top 7 of the top 10 averages in the history of the tournament. 7 of the top 10 highest averages. And he's got the top 4 out of those 10. So he's got 4, then I think there's 2 or 3, and then he's got the bottom 3 of that top 10. So it's just phenomenal stuff. 114.99 being his highest. A total of 142 times a player has hit 100 plus in a match, an average of 100 plus. Phil Taylor's got 62 of those. 62 times he's gone up and hit a ton plus average. The next best is Michael Van Gerwen on 17. So, once again, just phenomenal stuff. So, even back all the way through the history of the tournament, when 100 averages were a bit more rare, they're starting to become a bit more rare now. So, back in probably from 2013 through to 2018, 19, I'll say, 100 averages were your standard, your base standard, and then the rest was probably not as good once you got below 90. But nowadays, there's that mid-90s is probably more standard. You're not seeing as many 100 averages, I don't reckon. What do you think? Yeah, that's good. Next best of 17 with Michael Van Gerwen. That's ridiculous. The 5 highest tournament averages, all by Phil. They're all held by Phil. It's not even close. 106.31 is his best, and that was in 2010. So 106.31. That's going at 13.5, 14 darts, I think, per leg. And that was 100 plus through all 5 matches. He hit the ton plus, and that's across 110 legs of darts. So ridiculous stuff, absolutely outstanding. You can't top that sort of stuff. I don't think you'll ever see a domination at a single event. Like, he's got a pretty good record of the Worlds, but not like that. Not like that. He just dominates that event. Well, he doesn't anymore, but he did. And he did it for a very, very long time. All right, so the only stat he doesn't hold is the most 180s in a tournament, really. This is the only significant stat. Adrian Lewis holds that record at 56 in his 5 matches in 2013. That's over 10 a match. That's 11.133 reoccurring, probably. So 10 a match. He did hit 19 of those in the final that year, and that's one of the greatest matches you'll ever see. Standard wise, you can tell through the whole way through that Phil's going to win that match. There's no doubt about that. But excuse me, it is a high quality match, and I think Adrian Lewis goes on an 8-leg streak of hitting a 180 in every leg for 8 legs straight. Crazy stuff. Phil's actually third on that list behind, I think, Gary Anderson is second. I can't remember exactly, but that's fine. So it's 19 in the final, 2013. One of the greatest games. I'll try and put a link in the bottom in the description for you all for that match because it's a cracker. You want to get into it. All right, enough of the history. Let's get into this tournament. So the last thing we'll do is bring up the draw and have a closer look at that. Right now, we'll go through the top 10. I think we'll have a look at. Yeah, that's all about the draw, which we've spoken about. Yeah, look at the top 10. All right, so Peter Wright, he loves the match play. He's the defending champion of the match play, and he was unchallenged last year. He was absolutely dominant. He said, I'm going to win this, and he won it. Look, he hasn't been in the greatest form since the World Championships, but I don't think you'll see him continue to be poor. He'll turn it on. I think he'll use those gold darts that win the World Championship that he hates so much for some reason. No one knows why, but he doesn't like them. If he uses those, it can almost change everything. But I think he's looking good. I think he'll be all right. He's a big stage player, so don't stress about that. Gerwyn Price has been a bit up and down most of the year. He's had his moments. We saw that night of the Premier League where he looked by far and away the best player in the world, not even in doubt. That night, he hit 2 9-darters and absolutely dominated from start to finish and looked like the best player in the world. Excuse me again. He's a big stage player, Gerwyn Price. The crowd, everyone talks about the crowd getting to him. He's so used to it now. That's not an issue. He's going to continue to do the things he does. Scream, shout, yell, score big scores and give a fist pump and continue on his merry way. He loves the big stage. And I think he likes this format. Unfortunately, as I say that, he hasn't been great at the match play, but the format, I mean, is similar to the Grand Slam. You're not on all the time. Very similar to the Worlds as well. You're not on every single night. You get a bit more of a break and then you go for it. There's definitely no 2 games, 1 night sort of thing at this tournament. It's too real of a tournament to have that happening. All right, so Gerwyn Price, he'll be in good form. Bully Boy is just about the best player in the world at the moment. This is the big one. One of the big ones he's dreaming of. He'll take a Premier League. He'll take a Grand Slam. He'll take a Grand Prix. A match play or a World Championship, but really this one and the World Championships is something he will want to achieve very soon. And I think Michael van Gerwen is the favourite with the bookies. Michael Smith is a lot of people's favourites at the moment. He's just playing phenomenal. Michael van Gerwen, he's recovered well. I think I'm still hearing a lot of people write him off for this tournament and say he shouldn't be favourite due to his injury. A lot of us are forgetting that he played at the Dutch Darts Masters. And really, it was only Danny Noppert's greatest performance that stopped him from being electric. He really was electric anyway. And against most other people, he wins that match. But Danny Noppert was on fire and got the job done. All right. So Michael van Gerwen looking ominous, I think. James Wade, what do we need to do a preview of James Wade? Do we need to really look into James Wade too much? He could come out there and average 80 and win. He could go out there and average 90 and lose. He could go out there and average 114 like he did in the Premier League just gone. The one thing you can guarantee he's in every match, and if you don't finish, he finishes. And if you allow him a chance to finish, he finishes. So, Gary Anderson, number 6 seed, he is a big game player. He's one of my all-time favourites. I don't want him to start drifting off. I know he's got a lot of... so that's the 2-year rolling order of merit that he is on. And he's got a final to defend. 2 years ago, he made the final against Dimitri Vandenberg. So that money comes off after this tournament, which would be a significant drop. That'll probably put Gary Anderson down a fair way. If he was to go out first round, he'd probably be looking at going down to about 13th in the world. Maybe. I think it might not be that much. Probably 10th or 11th in the world. But there is a few other players that are defending money at this tournament anyway. But put that aside, I don't think that's an issue because Gary Anderson is a superstar. And I don't think he likes the match play, but he plays well at the match play. And I think he's going to do well. Jose de Souza is well off the pace at the moment. He is doing okay here and there, but just definitely not what he was in 2020. Johnny Clayton got some form going on the weekend, and he's similar to James Wade in my opinion. He just goes up there and just plays his darts. Doesn't matter what's going on around him, who's playing well, how the other opponent plays. He just goes up there and does his job. He'll get himself down to 1-2-1, and he'll try and finish 1-2-1 as quickly as he can. He'll go for the bullseye. He'll go for his double 16, and he'll do a good job. And, yeah, I think Johnny's looking good. Dimitri Vandenberg, he is on song at the moment. He would be on par with Michael Smith as one of the best players in the world. And, yeah, he's looking like a threat, and he is a... How do you pronounce it? A pre-defending champion. So 2020, he won it, and he was a finalist last year. And if not for some Peter Wright brilliance for 2 weeks straight, 2 weeks I think it goes for, it is that Dimitri Vandenberg wins it again. So he loves this tournament, and he will be up and about, looking to do well. Rob Cross, we don't see him on the big TV stage anymore. He's not in the Premier League. He's not in that top 8. So far, we've only seen him at the UK Open and the Masters, which he didn't do well in either of those. He's had some good form on the Euro Tour, but like Luke Humphries, that Euro Tour form just isn't translating into big stage play just yet. But Rob Cross will be wanting to step up and do some damage. Right. Damo is in great form. Damon Hedder, we're talking about now. We've gone through the top 10. That's all we'll go through in detail right this second. Damon Hedder, he's in great form, as I said. I keep saying. Most Players' Championship events, if they're normally in batches. He'll always do really well at one, and he's made another semi. He had a bit of a good run at the last Euro Tour, but he got that breakthrough World Cup win. That was so crucial. He beat Michael Smith. He was able to beat Dimitri Vandenberg on the big stage. He took care of Gerwyn Price. So Johnny Clayton, he beat Johnny Clayton on the big stage as well. They're all names you want to be beating. If you want to do well at this tournament, you want to be beating those guys. And he did. So he's got that big stage experience now. If you had gone through and not won a singles event, a singles match at that World Cup, you could sit there and say, oh, how's he going to go? Singles, the doubles saved him, Simon saved him, but he was able to get those wins. The way he beat Michael Smith was absolutely sensational. He beat Gerwyn Price 4-0, and Johnny Clayton was a 4-2 or a 4-3, I think. So towards the end of that tournament, he really turned it on and he really got the job done. We're going to have a look at the draw. He hasn't gotten the best part of the draw, which is a bit of a shame. I'd love to see it changed up slightly, and once the seeded players go into position, still do a draw, but someone like Damien Hedder, Nathan Assel, Ryan Searle, they're the top 3, and Damien Hedder has gone to a shocking part of the draw along with Nathan Assel, both in the same part of the draw, which we'll get to in a minute, and unfortunately they're going to have to play well, and whoever comes out of that quarter is going to be in form. Whereas like Kim Huybrechts, Chris Dobie have both gone to a slightly easier part of the draw. So is there a bit of work to be done there? I love the concept of seeded players, but because this is a seeded players versus almost other seeded players, I think you could work it to be completely seeded to sort of reward that the way Damien Hedder has them and Nathan Aspinall have both been playing. But it doesn't work like that. So before we bring the draw up, we'll just mention, because we're talking about Damon right now, so he's got Joe Cullen first up, then he'll have to play either MVG or Jackpot, and then after that, in the quarterfinal, he'll have James Wade, Martin Lukeman, Luke Humphries, or Nathan Aspinall. So that's his quarter there. So Michael Van Gerwen, Adrian Lewis, James Wade, Martin Lukeman, who he's struggled with, Luke Humphries, and Nathan Aspinall. So, it's a tough one. It's really tough one for Damon, but I think he could be right, and we'll put our Aussie hat on and say he's going all the way, but we don't know that for sure. We'll see. All right, so what we're going to do now, let's bring the draw up. So let's get rid of my logo. Where is it? Draw. Bam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that. I'll move this to here. And I'm going to disappear So, no, watch. I'll move side to side. That's what we're going to do. And I'm probably not going to look at my screen so that you can see. Oh, actually, I will because I've got it behind me. All right, so you got up the top there. Peter Wright versus Matters Razma. Christoph Ratajski, Stephen Bunting, Johnny Clayton, Robbie John, Dimitri Vandenberg, Callan Rids. So I will go through quickly who I think is going to win them all as quickly as I can and go in depth in the better ones. So out of that, look, I don't see any seeded players losing any of those ones. I think they're all pretty safe. Maybe Stephen Bunting, if he gets on a run, challenges Christoph Ratajski. Johnny Clayton easily, and Dimitri Vandenberg. Callan Rids has been a bit of an iffy one. I've mentioned him a few times now. You'd love to see him be consistent with that form that he showed at the Worlds, but just his style of throw, I don't think it's ever going to be that consistent. So that's quarter one with the seeded number one player in Peter Wright. The next quarter, which will be go on to play in the semis from the quarter above us, Michael Van Gerwen, Adrian Lewis, Joe Cullen versus Michael Van Gerwen versus Adrian Lewis, Joe Cullen versus Damon Hedder, James Way versus Martin Lukeman, Luke Humphries versus Nathan Aspinall. Look, once again, Damon Hedder, I think he will get past Joe Cullen, and look, Luke Humphries, I don't think he'll beat Nathan Aspinall. So yeah, so we've got a few other things that we talk about later, but that's for now. We'll do it that way. Right, let's just move this. No, not me. Let's grab the draw, move it over so you can see this side now. Get me back. There we go. And if we get rid of this text so you can see, sorry for the people that aren't actually watching and just listening on Spotify without video. I'm just trying to get the draw ready for you. So, I need to keep moving over. Right. There you have the next side of the draw. So, Gerwin Price versus Martin Schindler, Dave Chisnell versus Kim Hybrex, Jose D'Souza, Gabriel Clemens, Rob Cross, Chris Dobie. Once again, look, Gabriel Clemens wins against Jose D'Souza. Everyone else goes through pretty well. The next one, next quarter, Michael Smith, Andrew Gilding, Dirk van Duivenbode, Ryan Searle, Gary Anderson, Daryl Gurney, Danny Noppert, Brendan Dolan. So they are all your matches coming up. So I'll just leave that there. Leave that right in the middle. I'll move that back so that we can keep an eye on Damon Hedder's little quarter, and any that I want to talk about, I'll move it around so that you can see it. So some of the typical stuff, 9 datas. I don't think we're going to see a 9 data this tournament. I just got a feeling there's no 9 datas coming. Right, the highest seeded player out in the first round. So this is, I always talk about this a fair bit. It's a bit of a negative approach, isn't it? But I'm going to do it anyway because it's talking about players upsetting good players. So I've got 2 that I'm thinking, and it's Luke Humphries and Danny Noppert. Now, if you have a look at, you got Luke Humphries, Nathan Aspinall. Nathan Aspinall is an absolute weapon and is in pretty good form. And Luke Humphries, as much as winning Euro Tour, as I said, I don't know if that's correlating into the big stage experience. He's relatively experienced now on the big stage, but I just think Nathan Aspinall's just got something about him. I've got quite a few people that think the same as well. So Nathan Aspinall to beat Luke Humphries, or it's Danny Noppert. I keep grabbing the wrong thing. Danny Noppert v Brendan Dolan. I think Brendan Dolan's win at the Players' Championship event was pretty cool, and I think he's throwing pretty well, and I reckon his scoring's going to be too powerful for Danny Noppert. I know Danny Noppert's had some pretty big scores, but traditionally he's not a brilliant scorer. He's a good finisher. His scoring's not quite there. You saw him win the UK Open with a low 80s, I think, average. You're not going to get that here. That's not happening. Not when the big stage, it's all you. You're up against other guns. Brendan Dolan will win that one. All right, so the biggest surprise. So what I reckon is going to be your biggest surprise. Damon Hedder's no surprise to me and to a lot of you, so we're not going Damon Hedder, as much as I think he's going to make a semi-final minimum. My big surprise is this gentleman here, Gabriel Clemens, the Giant Killer. He is going to cause some absolute chaos, and that part of the draw, he's a gun, Gabriel Clemens, and I'm really disappointed that he hasn't had a bigger year so far, but he did make a Players' Championship final. He's got Jose D'Souza. I think he wins that. He then plays Rob Cross or Chris Dobie, and I think he wins that. He's then got he'll get his all the way to the quarterfinal. I don't think he'll win that because it's going to be against this gentleman here. But it's still a great run for him to get to a quarterfinal. And the other side, so I don't think you're going to see any major runs there. Ryan Searle could potentially beat Dirk, but then he'll have Michael Smith or even Gary Anderson. And the other sides, there's no surprises there. If any one of those gets through, Damon Hedder, I think, makes a semi. Right, so let's do a semi-final prediction. So from here, so your semi-finalist is going to be one from each quarter. You know what I mean? From here, I'm tipping Johnny Clayton to make it through. So, no. Hold up. I think Johnny Clayton doesn't get past Dimitri Vandenberg. I think Dimitri Vandenberg is your semi-finalist from here. I think he's got Peter Wright covered. I have the insurance of Peter Wright. If he breaks out the gold darts, it's a different story. But I think Peter Wright doesn't get past Dimmy in the quarterfinal. From this side, now my Aussie hat is definitely 100% on. Damon Hedder gets through to the quarterfinals and plays probably Nathan Aspinall and makes himself a semi-final. That's what I think is going to happen. If I take my Aussie hat off and my Damon Hedder hat off for a second, even though I think he's going to do it, it's Michael Van Gerwen. Michael Van Gerwen just about winning the tournament if Damon Hedder doesn't get past him. Right, so the other side, this top quarter, the Gerwen, Price, Schindler, Chisnell, Hybrex, Jose, Gabriel, Dobie, Cross. Gerwen Price basically has, in my opinion only, a free ride through to at least the quarterfinals. He's not going to be challenged. As much as Dave Chisnell is a weapon, and I love Dave Chisnell, he's just not playing well enough to beat Gerwen Price. Neither is Martin Schindler or Kim Hybrex or Jose de Souza, Rob Cross, Chris Dobie, Gabriel Clements. So Gerwen Price is making it through to a quarterfinal and he's making it through to a semi-final. And now, this the shock that you'll think from me, and you're probably thinking I've got my Scottish hat on here. Gary Anderson makes a semi. I think he's got too much for, and now this is where a big disappointment comes in. I'm tipping Dirk van Duijvenbode to beat Ryan Searle. And then I'm tipping Dirk van Duijvenbode to beat Michael Smith. So Michael Smith is one of a lot of people's favourites. And rightfully so. He's probably the best player in the world right now, along with Dimitri Vandenberg. But I reckon Dirk van Duijvenbode beats Michael Smith. Then Gary Anderson takes care of Dirk van Duijvenbode to get through to a semi. So it'll be Dimitri Vandenberg versus Damon Hedder and Gerwen Price versus Gary Anderson. And then I think you've got Gerwen Price, Damon Hedder final, and you're going with a Gerwen Price win. Unfortunately for Damon Hedder, because I also think there could be Dimitri Vandenberg in the final because Dimitri's playing fantastic. So, to wrap it all up, wrap. The match play is a phenomenal tournament. We cannot wait. I cannot wait. Sunday morning it should be kicking off. Saturday night there's some on. Sunday morning it's going to kick off for me. And I can't wait. It's going to be massive. So, keep an eye on that. Just get around it. It's going to be phenomenal. And Gerwen Price to win, for my mind. And what else have I got written down here? After all this is happening, there's so much happening in the Aussie darts space. The World Series qualifiers are happening. They're calling it the DPA World Championship Playoffs, so I'm not sure if that's the Order of Merit or the Oceanic Masters. I think it's the Oceanic. That's all being played this weekend, so we're going to give that some more airtime next week. We'll just do a quick wrap of the first round from the match play, but we'll have a look at who's made it through to play at those World Series events down under here in Australia. Until then, just keep on darting and keep on kicking goals, guys.